Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Living Empowered. I'm super excited today. I have my good friend, an amazing person you're about to see how amazing, Kimberly Wang with us today. I was going to give you a long bio, but I'm not going to. I'm going to let her introduce herself and her background. But today we got a really fun topic. It actually applies to adults in business and persons. We'll get into mentoring and things a little bit too, but I've also taught this to kids. And it's all about the power of storytelling. Kimberly's a storytelling expert, and I'm going to let you tell everybody why. So, Kimberly, without further ado, welcome to the show. Welcome to Living Empowered. Thank you so much for being here.
I love being here because I love hanging with you. I just have to say that when we first met, your energy and how you approach people with authenticity and warmth and a feeling of care just makes everyone flock to you. So I love that you're our coach. I mean, I love that we call you coach. Such a real, representation. So I'm very grateful to be here. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
About me, golly. So, I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. So at a time when there were very few Asian American people, I was born and raised there. My parents are immigrants from Hong Kong and Shanghai. So it was a very interesting upbringing. But I eventually went into a kind of storytelling. I was a TV director and producer for 20 years for everyone from Martha Stewart, ESPN, MTV, HGTV, Animal Planet, Food Network, every network you can think of, a lot at PBS. I started at PBS.
So cool. I love that.
It really was an adventure for me because I was drawn to storytelling primarily because when you grow up in an area where there's very few people like you, then you understand quite quickly that people are going to make assumptions about you. They're going to make judgments about you. Yeah. And I think because I grew up in that environment, it became really clear to me that people's stories, their real authentic stories, are what matter. So even as a kid, I was so curious about other people. What's your real story? I know that people are saying this and that about you, but who are you really? And I think that was really at the core of what drew me to want to be a director and to be a producer and to tell stories. And I ultimately ended up telling stories about lots of world famous, legendary athletes, musicians, creatives, activists, all sorts of people, because I was constantly working for lots of different networks. The kinds of stories I was telling was always changing. So sometimes I'd be interviewing Jessica Lange about her life story for a documentary about her. Other times it might be a legendary running back, Jerry Rice, and talking to him and spending time at training camp with him, surrounded by, dozens of other NFL players and their coaches. And so, being able to sort of transition from one environment to the next seamlessly really became my forte. But at the core of it all was storytelling. So that's how I spent 20 years of my life. I was based in New York City. I'm new to Southern California, so it's a big deal to be here for me. It's a huge shame.
Welcome. From a native, welcome. Love that.
Thank you. And I do. I love it here. But New York City was my home for a long time. I flew in and out of there and traveled all over the world, basically went to every continent on the planet except two, every state in our union at least once, many times. So I've seen lots of the world and understand that we're all different, but we're all connected very often by stories. So, and now I am a legacy portrait and branding photographer. I made a shift in around 2008. It was actually the same time. Right now we have a Writers Guild strike and a SAG strike. So the actors and writers that create all of the content that we watch, all the films, all the TV shows, they're on strike now. It was around the same time, 2008. The last time there was a WGA strike was when the TV industry changed dramatically. Everything went in the way of reality TV, which isn't really my thing. So that was when I thought, wow, I've been doing this for a long time. This is a good time for me to step away and try a different kind of storytelling. And that's when I became a photographer. So
just knowing you, I don't see you in reality TV world. Like, oh, really?
I've heard stories about why that realm really didn't suit me, and kind of how reality TV isn't really reality.
Nope.
So it's I'm really interested in authentic stories and how powerful they are, how they can transform lives, how they can elevate people, how they can create understanding and connection.
Mhm.
So yes, it was not the right place for me. So that was when I made that shift,
Yep.
because what I do now, still photography, and the way that I do it, which is very much about creating experiences for people, helping people to elevate and transform their businesses, helping them to connect with one another as family members, helping to celebrate my clients. That's really the core of what I do. And it's very similar to what I did when I was interviewing folks, and creating TV shows for major
Yep.
networks. So there's really that thread still remains. So that's very
Yeah.
much what I do, is create experiences for folks and use photography to change lives.
That is awesome. I'm realizing too, as I get older and just more seasoned, let's call it seasoned at what I'm doing. The stories matter. The stories matter, and I do a lot of public speaking, and I don't talk about health and fitness typically, not in the usual, go on a diet. I don't talk about this stuff because everybody hears it, nobody cares. But telling the stories, either my own story. I've weighed 50 pounds more than I am now. Like, everybody goes like, seriously? Like, yeah, I've been there, and here's why I got there, and here's where I got out. And it's an instant connection with somebody because, okay, he gets where I'm at. What helps, I'll just talk about me for a second, but it helps me be a better coach, not a trainer. Trainers are usually like your young guys, here's a workout, do 1,000 burpees, good luck. A coach says, okay, I understand you have a shoulder problem. I understand you have 30 minutes to work out. You don't have time. I understand you have a knee issue, a back issue, because I've been there. We can tell the stories, share the stories, and like you said, it makes the connection. I've seen a lot of things on TV, like you talked about. A lot of the athlete shows now are talking about their backgrounds, their histories, to connect to people again. No, they're not just the high-paid athlete that you watch and get entertained by. These are other people too. They may have had adversity in their lives, but here's what they went through to be where they are. I totally agree with that. And in conveying for me the Empowered Women's Fitness, I was just working on, we'll say, grant application. And, they said, why are you doing this? Say, what started this whole thing? And I go back to the story, like my mom passed away early from, it was cancer, but part of it could have been preventable. Maybe not. Maybe yes, maybe no. But we have too many friends that have preventable diseases and things like that. And the stories of why this created, why this is what it is, why it's not just we don't just do the gym thing here. We're trying to make you better for a reason, for this, and it creates, but there's a story behind it. And I will attest to your greatness, because you were here for our photo shoot for Destination LA, and she was amazing. It's so not a photography shoot at all. It was so much fun. I learned so much from you that day. Like, oh, interesting. But it came out so good. People would say, wow, what amazing pictures. I said, that wasn't me. That was my photographer.
Well,
He's so good at this.
A couple of things. First of all, the reason why we work so well together is because the way that I work and the way that you work is all about collaboration. It is not sort of my auteurs, artist sort of thing being projected onto you. Mm-hmm. It's about our finding a way to communicate through story and through visual storytelling that makes a difference. When people come to me, it's really important that I ask a lot of questions about what matters to you, what are your dreams, what are your fears, what are your goals, where are we trying to go, what is the story we're trying to tell. And the fact that we're doing it collaboratively is really important, because I find that a lot of people come to me and they have worked with people who it sort of feels like a machine, right? It's not an experience where we get to learn about each other and support each other. That's so important to me. And going back to the part about storytelling, when we think about the people in our lives that we admire that have achieved great success, what makes the difference, and partially how they got there, is that they learned to tell their story, and also that when we engage people in that way, so that we let them into how we came to reach these great heights, it helps others to know, as you just said, I can relate to you. So I'll just give you a couple examples, like Michelle Yeoh, right? So Michelle Yeoh is an award-winning actress and a martial artist. She started as a ballet dancer. She danced at the Royal Ballet. She was training the Royal Ballet.
Wow.
She got injured. She had a spinal injury. So that she had to scratch that off her list. I can't do this thing that I love to do. Yeah. So many of our stories start with some kind of limitation that we have. And it feels like a block. It feels like something that's in the way. But quite often it's just a turn in the road so that we can find what we really are meant to do. And then not long after that, she, trained in such a way that she became so well known as an actress. And then of course went on to do all the things she did, as an actress, as martial arts. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's a child of immigrants. She lost her mother and her sister before she even graduated from high school. Wow. She went to law school after she had her first child. She entered law school when she was already a mother. And we all know the story about how difficult it was for her to be in law school at a time when people felt like, hey, you're a woman, you don't belong, get out.
Yeah.
So all of those stories of adversity, of challenges, we need to share them. And it's ideal that we share them visually because, one of the things, I teach a class about visual brand storytelling and why it's so important. I taught it free during the pandemic for so many people that were stuck at home and were trying to figure out, how do I build my business while I'm stuck at home indoors?
Yes.
But one of the things I tell people is that, and I actually have to look at the numbers so I can remember it, 65% of people can recall visual content that they see almost 3 days later. Only 10% of people can recall what they see 3 days later when it's text or written only. So visual storytelling is the way that we really get people to understand who we are, to connect with us. So that's a lot of what I share with folks and what I teach folks when I'm trying to help them to build their brands, help to attract their ideal clients. So that's really important to remember too.
Oh, for sure. Totally agree. And what I learned from you with the pictures is just the facial expressions that you taught me. You taught me the I forgot exactly what you called it, but the movie star, what was it?
We call it the movie star squint, which helps people feel that you're connected with them. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that was amazing because people make the same comment about the picture that was your intention for the picture. It wasn't just, you always see the trainer stand like this. And I swore I wasn't going to do it. You did make me do it once just because you made me do it. But the pictures that are used and are noticed are the ones that you're talking about. Is it portrayed? We're just going to talk. I don't mean to be about me, but this was my experience with you. So this is our story. But it portrayed what you were trying to capture is not only portrayed by you, but it's seen unsolicited by other people. So you are so good at your craft in bringing that out to say it's more than just a picture. You mentioned just the photographer that does the picture. We have to do it once in a while. When the whole family gets together, it's her sister's like, okay, everybody wear brown. I'm like, and it's just, everyone's wearing something brown. They're like, okay, click, 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 click. And that's all there is to it. Like, are we done? Are we done, Kimberly? But it's so much different. Yeah, but like you said, but telling the story. So I try to keep that to help me build, learning from you to build my brand is showing more of the people doing things, showing more of the real people. I try to stay away from anything that looks stock or anything that looks overly done, because our group it's the everyday mom, it's the everyday lady, it's the career person. These are regular people. I don't necessarily want I actually don't want the glamour models. I'll just flat say it, because that's not our group and it doesn't tell the same story. It's like, hey, and I've got some people that are heavy, some that are small. They're just all different ranges because everybody is that. This is your group. These are your real people. And that's why I started with this group to start with, is the women's group, is they're underserved. They were, just kind of ignored, but they're so amazing. I've learned over the years, like, the ladies are amazing. I was just talking to a guy earlier. There's 3 ladies that come in the morning. One's an incredible baker. I mean, like, amazing. Not just, oh, here's some nice cookies that are delicious. She's amazing. The other one's a high-level architect. You wouldn't know it. They're just out here having fun and training. But I said, man, here's their backgrounds. And this lady's like the maid. She's kind of like Tim the Toolman Taylor on the old Tool Time show. But this lady can fix anything. Right off the top of her head, she just has that gift. But I said, these ladies they're so amazing. And in the times that I always say too, like, there's no such thing as a stay-home mom. That's the dumbest term ever. They don't stay at home. They're not doing nothing for sure. These ladies are hustling, and nowadays, like, own businesses, like you, starting all over, starting a business, growing a business, and the kids, and the other stuff. The other stuff didn't go away. You didn't switch roles; you added to your role.
Exactly.
And so the story gets bigger. It's like, here's everything we do, and the story just got bigger. And in the women realm in particular, and these are really, I've met some really, truly inspiring and amazing ladies over the years. I walk away going, wow, I have a friend, another longtime friend, client, but she just has the mind. You would look at her and think, oh, maybe she looks a little ditzy, a little dingy, but the second she starts talking, like she's talking marketing, I'm like taking notes. I'm like, man, where is this stuff? She just come. I'm like, hold on. There's this stuff that comes out of this lady. She's just boom, boom, boom. But she has the brain for it. I mean, it's like you say, don't judge people. Don't make up your own story. Let them help you make a story. But we're such a judgmental society. I was just talking to my son about this because he's about to be 14, and we're talking about, not judging, not telling stories. And he sees the Nextdoor app is horrible because something happens and someone say, oh, this happened. And then all you get, I just read it. I read about 5 comments because that's all I can stand is the people making judgmental comments. Oh, well, there must be drugs involved. Well, this must have happened. Well, you don't know any of that's you sitting behind your computer making some story up from your experience or to make your drama. But like you said in the very beginning, it's somebody just making up a nonsense story there's no fact to it, which is horrible. So, so I tangented there, but
I love your tangents. There's another thing that I wanted to share that really is in line with what you're talking about, but I actually have to look at it. It's a statistic done by a marketing group. Drink a little water.
No, I just do the same.
91% of customers want brands they follow to be authentic in what they share.
Yeah.
So super important. I think what you're talking about, being authentic, is so important because, most of us aren't perfect. Most of us have history. We want to relate to the people that we're communicating with. So I love that your branding is about the real stories of your very real clients who also are going through transformations that you are guiding them through, coaching them through. It's super important for people to feel like I can relate to you. So authentic storytelling, authentic visual brand storytelling, it's essential. Otherwise, when people use stock footage, stock imagery, then we're so sort of habituated to so much content that people spot what's not authentic right away. So when you're sharing actual scenes from your actual life and your world, how you see it, then people understand that's a real person. That's a person that can understand me. They know that it's not like a facsimile of something that's supposed to be real. So that's why I love working with you, because when I think about how you interact with your clients and how safe they feel with you, how empowered they feel around you, that's what I want to capture. So much of my work is about connections. Even when I'm working with families, and what we're trying to do is capture something really special, the dynamic between them, the laughter that they enjoy together. We try to do it in a way where we're telling a story. It's not just everyone stand still, right? We're trying to really create connections and kind of reveal those connections in our imagery, because we know that 20 years from now, when the whole family sits down, everyone's older, a little bit grayer maybe, that they're going to value that we captured that one moment when that dynamic between them was so alive, because that's what's important when we think about our history together. We have to capture those moments so that we never forget them, because that's what, is heartwarming. That's what makes us feel loved, and that we really preserve that, so that's why I call myself a legacy portrait and branding photographer, because we're creating your visual legacy, right? So whether it's about work, whether it's about your family, whether you're a high school senior, that's what we're doing. So I love that we really are on the same page with that. And I love being around you and your clients. It's super fun.
You just blended so well. That day was such an amazingly fun day. They still talk about it. They're like, oh God, that day was so fun. It was so much fun. And there you go. Yeah, Kimberly's great. It was great. So taking this a little different turn, you mentioned high school kids. I do a lot of mentoring. I have a nonprofit as well. And I got to teach, I was actually invited to teach a local school, their marketing class about personal branding. And I thought, that's going to be interesting. But I've not spoken on it before, but obviously I do. My brand is Coach. That is my brand. People may forget my name in the networking groups, but when I walk in a room, hey, Coach is here. I don't have to remember my name. My brand is Coach, and that's what we've branded the things you said. Thank you, so kind. But so that's what I was teaching these kids too. Is they think, well, I don't have a company yet. I said, but you have a person. You are a person. You have a personality. You have character, charisma. What do you have? What makes you you?
Right.
That's kind of what we got into. What is your brand? What do your friends like about you? What are the top 3 attributes of you? What's your brand right now? So you don't have a company, but when you do, what are the pieces of you that are going to stand behind that company?
I love that, Coach, because, again, we're going to go back to story because everything's about story. It doesn't matter what you're selling or what you're trying to raise money for, if you have a philanthropic org, or whether you're just trying to tell a story of your family. Everything's about story. So I love that you talk to kids about that because, again, having grown up the way that I did, the one of the few Asian people in a rarefied kind of situation. Yeah, super different. A lot of kids have some embarrassment about their story. They feel like, I don't have enough money. My parents aren't super wealthy, or maybe my parents don't speak full English or English at all, or whatever it may be. And I really want to encourage people, whether you're young, you're a teenager, and I'm working with you, or whether you are someone that's building a business, to embrace your story, because everything that happened is what brought you to this place. And I think that a lot of the circumstances of our lives we cannot change, but we're going to make what we can from those circumstances. So I love when people tell me their story because I can see all those glimmers of how they got the ideas to do the things that they did to become who they are. So when you start that young, and people and kids are encouraged to really embrace their story and to, take control of the story that they want to tell, so people aren't telling it for them and it's their story to tell, that's such a cool thing, right? People aren't projecting things onto you. You're deciding how you want to share what's important to you. And I think that's a great way to go through life, right? Is not let people tell your story for you. So,
right.
And I do love working with high school seniors and high school juniors. It's a big part of what I do. A lot of parents come to me because they know those kids are going to leave home, and either they're going to take a gap year or they're going to go off to college, and they know those kids are going to transform completely. So they want to freeze sort of the memories of who they are now. What are they into now? Violin, equestrian, tennis, writing. They have a band. So we do these day-long sessions where we document all of their interests. So again, 20 years from now, when that child is, doing whatever in law school, I don't know, whatever it is they're doing, raising their own family, rather, have this document of who they were then. So it's that pictorial legacy that we're creating. It's super cool. So I love working with young people because they have lots of ideas. Sometimes they can be a little self-conscious, and I can help them with that. That's a big part.
Yes. That's one of your gifts, is bringing that out. It's the same thing. It's you're easy to talk to. You're comfortable. You're not judging. You can feel that. So I imagine you're amazing with the kids. That was making me thinking. I'm already thinking because I got called again to go work with this leadership group. You've got to come in one day. I'm going to make sure that they bring you in one day because together we could do something like that. It'll be amazing. It's glaring. It was glaring this year for me. I realized how much got projected on me as a kid as I got older. When I shifted from the corporate world, I had 18 years of corporate experience. I jumped out. It's kind of like you said, it's a forced jump out. They went to New Jersey. They said, come to New Jersey. I said, not a chance. I'm born and raised Orange County. I'm not leaving. Thanks, though. But thanks for the offer. No, thank you. So that was my jump off. At that point, I could have got another job, or I could have jumped off. That was my jump off. But at that point, it was all the people telling me I couldn't do it. You're not good enough. All of those things that we hear as kids. But I'm hearing this at 40 years old. And then it's starting. But as the years go on, and even the last few years, how much was projected on me by your parents, your whoever, previous spouse, even some friends. Sometimes you got to check your friends. I tell these kids, I say, your friends, they feel like your friends, but check them. Make sure that they are boosting you. Make sure they're with you. Are they supporting you? Are they truly a friend? Are they there when it's inconvenient for them? That's a true friend. It's not always just a convenience friend. So, and then talking to these kids this year, they asked to do one-on-ones with me. I'm like, okay, I thought it was going to be all school related. It wasn't. It was life related stuff. And we talked a lot about that. I just got in it with these kids. I'm like, tell me about your parents. Are they like this? Are you feeling like this? And these kids just started coming out, and like, wow, this was amazing. But that was such a great opportunity to help them be enlightened at that moment, to go, oh, I can be different. And that's the coolest thing. Somebody asked me once, you getting paid for this? I'm like, no, this is give back stuff. But yeah, you know how I get paid? I get paid by the energy they give back.
Yeah.
Finance, not a, it's not a mentoring is not about a financial thing. It's, man, you get so much charge back from the kids. And you see them grow, you see them behave different, you see them change. You're like, wow, this kid wouldn't have been on this path if we weren't there. You know, that's the coolest thing ever is that. But to see that a lot of that this year from this particular group is a group in Santa Ana. A lot of these kids are in, kind of stuck down in that hole for whatever reason, but just kind of helping them unpeel to say, hey, no, you're special, you're different. And like you just said, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how your clothes are. We talked about that. These kids had to do a presentation, and one kid's like, I don't have like really a nice shirt or anything. I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. I said, you know what? You tuck in your shirt, you tie your shoes, you comb your hair, you look cleaned up and straightened up, you present with confidence. Nobody's going to notice anything but you. You being that strong person. Nobody cares about the other stuff. Don't get stuck there.
I really love that you do that work, because mentorship is a huge thing for me too. When I think about what my goals are as a human being and, as a business owner, so much of it is tied to mentorship of young people, of people that are my contemporaries. I feel like what we're talking about is taking charge of your story, right? And not letting other people make assumptions about you because you're doing such a good job of telling your own story the way that you need to tell your story. I think it's so important. And I feel like, because I came from where I came from, because I have parents that are immigrants, because I know that a lot of people that come into this life with a lot less and with a lot of assumptions placed on them before they even speak a word, because of the color of their skin or their orientation, whatever it is. I feel like it's super important for me as someone that has, the experience of being other, to make sure that I support people coming up. So a lot of the time it is young people. When I was living in New York, a lot of my work was with young people. Sometimes we would just take them out as part of the city program to teach them how to shoot simple images, because that's just a way of seeing. It was a way of teaching them to kind of observe and engage with an art form that could kind of open their lives in terms of helping them to connect with other people, helping them to find a kind of peace when everything else feels so stressful. And, but other times it's just encouraging people, young people, also adults, to use art as a way to find their center, right? So I really believe in art therapy. I believe that art, music, culture, all of that is such a great way to help us to connect with one another, to help us to want to understand each other. So, but mentorship is such a big deal. And then just talking about mentorship in terms of our contemporaries, I worked in an industry in television where so many of the rooms that I was in were predominantly male and predominantly white. So there are very few women, especially when it came to working for ESPN, working with pro athletes, all of that. I really want people to feel like their options are limitless. So whether you're a woman, man, whatever, that you shouldn't be defined by your sex or where you came from, whatever. You should have the options to feel like the world is open to you. So the way that I do that is whenever I can, I try to introduce people to other people that I think they might not be able to have a connection into that world if they didn't have someone to make that face-to-face introduction. We all know that warm introductions are the way that we get ahead in life. But if you didn't grow up with influential parents or parents that could send you to private school or whatever it is, then you don't naturally have those connections. So it's really important to me to try to make sure that when I meet someone that they're really working hard and they just don't have the right in yet, to try to figure out, who do I know that knows someone that can help this person to kind of, have an informational interview, or just come to a party where you can mingle with folks that aren't normally folks that you would have connections to. So I feel like mentorship is not just great for our communities. It's not just for the person that you're connecting other folks to. It's good for us because it helps us to really use our skills and talents to elevate other people. And there's nothing that feels better than that, right? So whether it's young people, whether it's our contemporaries or whatever, super important.
Totally agree. Yeah, if you can get in that place of realizing that helping other people is such a I mean, you want to feel good about yourself, help somebody else.
Right.
It's oddly as simple as that. Wait a minute, shouldn't I be helping myself? Yes, but you will. And then when I teach these kids too, is like, if you're stuck in that dark, kind of right off what you just said, if you're stuck in the dark place, if you're just stuck in general or down or mental, I said, send somebody a text. Say, hey, I was thinking about you today. Hope you have a great day. And leave it. And say, don't have any expectations of return, but just fire out 5 or 10 of those. Maybe somebody you have talked to, somebody you haven't, but just you start sending that energy out, your energy instantly changes.
Right.
So like you said, so mentoring, right away, you said, just helping is so, yes, it's just self-charging. Yeah, I used to come home. She's like, "Where were you today?" And I start talking. She's like, "Never mind, I know where you were." So how you know? He said, "Because you're charged up every time you go work with the kids." Get my payback because it's awesome because they're just amazing. And like you said, it's no matter what we're doing, doesn't mean the topic, even if it's just speaking or talking, they just get into it, and it's so cool.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say about that is, especially when it comes to women and for people of color, I think there's kind of this thing where we feel like we have to be the only one, right? That there's something kind of, we have to protect our domain. And I think that that's not a great way to lead a fulfilling life, nor even to have your career expand in the way that it really can. I think that we have to sort of step away from this idea that we don't want to help other people up because then they become our competition. Like there's only room for one woman here, or only room for one Asian person here. I don't believe that. I feel like the more we lift each other up and help connect each other, the stronger we are as a whole. And actually, I think we all know that diversity matters. Diversity makes a huge difference in how we create policy, how businesses are run. We need all these different points of view, right? So I really believe it's important not to be afflicted with this feeling that, I have to protect my space. I think it's more important. This is why you and I connect so well. We really love we come at the world from a welcoming perspective. I mean, that's why you and I connected, because the minute you walked into that meeting, I thought, gosh, his energy is so warm. It's so grounded. And I really respond to that. So this is why I feel like we get along so well, because we really come from a similar place. And I've been lucky enough to have people like that in my life that have made me feel welcome in places where I knew nobody. Like the minute they see me, they feel like, oh, let me embrace her. And so I want to pay that back by doing that for other folks too. So
that was a great point about the competition. The fear of that. That's a real thing.
Yeah,
I've seen it on both sides of that. Because again, coming from back when I was corporate, it was, let's call it corporate white America. It's kind of what it was still back then. It was starting to break into more. I had discussions about guys. No, you have to hire this person just because of this. I'm like, how about if I hire someone because they're qualified? Just because they're qualified. I don't care about anything else. I want someone that can do the job. Right. That was my mindset. That's why I never really fit into the other stuff. I'm like, well, we have a job to do. Who can help us do the job? Outside of any other parameters, do you have the skills? Can you do this? Do you have the attitude? Are you a good team person? That's what we really want to have, is that person. All your other pieces that you're bringing help make you and help make you different and creative and all of that as well. But let's see, what makes you that you can do the job. And I look forward to like growing and expanding this particular unit of business. We're gonna have a lot of women in this business, mostly women, because the viewpoints are different. There still has to be a mix. I've learned that too. Or one or all of the other isn't good. It's not a really good mix. It creates different struggles, but a good blend of right-minded, the right attitude, right characters, right-minded, good collection of people in general, and a blend of people, like you said, a good diverse group of people. I sit here one day just thinking of all the people that I got to train. I was privileged enough to train this day, and how diverse of a group I have.
You really do have a very diverse group. I mean, when I look at your clients, they're all sorts of folks, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different professions.
Yeah.
We really have such a really cool mix. It's nice for folks to be in that space because it feels very welcoming, but not everyone's the same, right? And I think that's
Yeah.
like
And
business.
it's really fun. As I get older, I like to learn. Like every kid in school, I didn't want to go to school. And I'm like, school. Went back and got an MBA at my ripe young age of 50, and I had so much fun learning because I wanted to be there and I wanted to learn. And I'm already in the learning mode, but I learned a lot about culture from the people that are here because I ask them. One of my neighbors that was trained with me, he's Indian. He said, well, my wife had to go back to India for this, something regarding a death in the family. He said, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. And he says, well, here's the protocol for this. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. And then the holidays come around and I'll ask him about the holiday. Tell me, like, I didn't know. So tell me something I wouldn't normally know about your holiday. I'm interested. But it's a lot of that kind of thing. And like you said, everybody's just here and they all treat each other the same.
Yeah.
And it's all like, if you're not a good person with a good attitude, you don't get invited to be here.
Right.
You're out. You are out. Either I won't invite you at all, or if you come in and I didn't catch it the first time, you won't feel comfortable here. And one girl that she was a little against herself, kind of made the negative comments. She never came back because there's nobody else like that here. So she's uncomfortable being negative in such a positive space.
Right.
That she kind of like, I think I don't want to come back.
Right.
Good luck to her. Tried to help her, but couldn't because she wasn't welcoming to that. But it's like you said, it's such an amazing blend. I'm so glad. Like my son has been exposed to so many different people that he doesn't see anything different. Right. It's the person. It's either a good person or not a good person, really. And is he friends? Is he not friends? All of his friends, same thing with his friends. It's a mix, and it doesn't matter. The other stuff doesn't matter for him, which is great. Which I really like. So he gets just, like you said, the diversity, the benefit of all of those things without the other stuff. Well, we're blended. So, which is going right from the get-go. There you are, son. But yeah, no, it's just fun being around such a blend of people. And like you said, and then it's the kids too, and they can see other things, other perspectives from other people. Because I always go in there, I'm the middle-aged old white guy speaking to you guys. I would say that to you. I said, you're looking at me, okay, yes, I'm older than you, but here's how I've been in your shoes. That's where my stories come in. We talk about the storytelling. I said, let me tell you a story. My stories come from my experience, not from made-up stuff. Because I got plenty of good ones. I don't need to make any up.
Right.
I was teaching kids one day, totally side story. Is in the Empowered Youth Program. We're talking, I don't remember what the subject was in the curriculum, but one kid made a comment about suicide thoughts or something suicide related. I'm like, I looked at the teacher because teacher's in the room. I looked at the teacher. She's kind of like, I said, okay, you brought it up. So you're thinking about it. So let's have a discussion. And then we kind of went through the discussion and I had a story for them. The room went quiet because it happened to a kid that lived around the block from me when I was growing up. Oh, it's bullying. We're talking about bullying. And it came from that. And I had this story. And because I lived the story. It's like you said, your stories go to make an impact on these kids. I bet they don't forget that story too.
Yeah.
But it's an unfortunate story, but it's a story. But like you said, so all of those things, all the stories matter. And it's so impacting to tell people the stories. Share.
I so agree. And I think that I love that when you're talking about how you work with your clients, how you work with kids, it all comes from a place of curiosity. And I think that's how I work with my clients too. The very first thing that we do is have what we call a discovery call. And that discovery call is all about asking those questions. And the people that love working with me are really excited to explore what have I not been paying attention to in terms of what I want to share with the world? What have I been sort of sitting on because I'm too busy, being a parent or, being an executive or whatever? What is it that needs to come out that I really want to share with the world? I think that no matter what kind of business you're in, being curious in that way, that's where we get to being authentic with people, being able to create authentic storytelling. I think anytime you come at anything with that kind of genuine curiosity, people really appreciate it because they know that you care about not just sort of the job or whatever, but that you care about them as a human being. Super important. So I love that because so much comes out and I learn so much from my clients when they tell me their stories and what they've been through and what their goals are. I learn so much and it's beneficial to me, but it also helps me to tell their story in a way that's accurate and that's authentic, you know?
Oh, for sure. And I think as business owners too, it helps us do better for our clients. Just comes right down to that. The more I know about you, the more I can help you.
Exactly, right. You don't want to hold it back. Like what your journey is, certainly your wellness journey, your strength journey, whatever mental blocks you have, I can see how important it is for you to know those things, because that's how you can get in and really help them to find their own strength and their own motivation, right?
Yeah.
So that you don't have to provide, they can provide it for themselves. It's very similar what we do, this idea of transformation and helping people to find that inner core that they maybe have just been sort of not paying that much attention to because they've got too much going on. I love when that comes through, when they come to me and say, oh my God, is that me in that portrait? I'm like, yes, that's you.
Yes.
And they say, I've never seen that version of me. And I say, exactly. That's why we're here, because there's so much light in you that needs to come out. Let's find a way to make sure that we keep, sort of nurturing that, because your full self is what you want to share and what you want to remember. And I love that. It's so cool when people feel like, oh my gosh, I see an aspect of myself, or I see a version of myself. Even my family doesn't see that in me. And I just have to say, I have a lot of clients that when they first come to me, they say, well, my kids really know me as a mom. Like, okay, cool. Because that's a really cool thing to be a mom, right? But there were things that she was before she became a mom, and there are things that she is now in addition to being a mom, like we were talking about earlier. So let's try to tell the story that is full and complete, so that spark that you have. Sometimes it's just about, honestly, it's about being sexy. A lot of moms feel like, I'm sexy, but I don't know. Does my family, does my husband still see me in a way? Or does my wife?
Yeah, that's so important.
Right? I feel like, let's bring it out, because that is a part of you. Just because people really like this part of you and that's the part they're comfortable with doesn't mean that other part doesn't get a chance to come out, so.
That's true.
The curiosity part's important.
It so is. It's like you say, it's your label. It's your label at that moment. It's your label for them.
I love what you said.
And you're so right. I'm chuckling because that happened here. We had a coaches versus kids volleyball game after one of my son's school years. So I'm playing with the dads. They think we're going to be just terrible because we're playing like the girls' A-team volleyball. And we're out there. We're guys. We're barely hitting the ball around. As soon as that whistle went, though, all of us guys went back to athlete mode. And we started crushing. And these guys are looking at us like, we walked away. My son said, Dad, I had no idea you could play. Like, you've never seen that. I just do dad things for you. Never seen me play. I was a musician. I was a drummer. I got to play for something else. And he's like, what? I'm like, it's just stuff you don't know about. Because like you said, it's all the stories that are gone, or just they're not gone. They're old. They're older stories, or older lives, or older things that you don't get to be. The mom story is great. I always tell ladies the same thing. Like, be the beautiful person that you are. Right. Don't be something you're not, but just be you. But let that, so that's where we met. Let that come out. Be that. You're working here. You're training hard. You're eating good. So go be the beautiful person. Be that. Stun your husband. Like, put something else on. Makes him go, make him stop. I always say, did your husband, I said, don't be discouraged if your spouse or whomever doesn't say anything about your transformation, because they're so they're used to what they see. They're in their own world. They expect this. I said, go put on something that they're not used to, that shows where you've come to now. Right. And then just make them just stop in their tracks. Right. And it's so cool when they text. It's like, oh my gosh, I just did that. My husband's like, holy cow. What happened? She said, we had such a great weekend. It was date night all over again. I'm like, that's amazing, But it's like you said, get out of that role, be your other role.
It's so interesting. There's so many parallels in what we do with our clients that a lot of people come to me when they're in transition, right? So they may be leaving a marriage. They may be just starting to date. They may be celebrating a 50th or 60th birthday, whatever it is. Or very often they're about to launch a new aspect of their business, or they're about to start a business that they've never even, have no familiarity with, right? So really heady times for people. There's so much to do. They feel so overwhelmed, but they know that they're on the precipice of something and they're trying to get to a different place. It's very similar with the work that you do. And I feel like it's so cool to take that journey with folks and help them navigate it so that they can have that dream, but find a way to really make it real. And we can do that together, right? Because again, you and I come at things with, tell me more. I mean, I know that that's a big part of what you do and what I do. Tell me more. Tell me your story, because then I can figure out, okay, you don't feel seen by the clients that you feel should be in your stable of clients. They aren't taking notice of you. What is it about the story that you're telling visually that's missing the mark, right? It might be that. Or I really do have a lot of clients that come to me. Some of them have just left a marriage, or it might be a few years down the road, and they have not dated since they were 19. And what a scary place to be in when, you've had this one role for so long, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, you're out there, you're single, and you want to present to the world who you've become. And I feel like there's a little part sometimes people that feels a little broken or unseen. And I feel like, see, no, this is actually such an exciting time in your life, because you're about to embark on a whole new adventure. And let's focus on all the things about you that you work so hard to earn, right? So very similar to what you do. And I love that people come to me at that point in their lives, because I feel like we can do so much together, because just in one conversation, that first discovery call, I learned a ton about where they want to go and what they feel is holding them back. And then after that, we do something we call a wardrobe styling and a story planning session. And in that session, not only do we work on their wardrobe, we figure out what locations we're going to shoot at, but we take a deeper dive into their story. Okay, where do you want to be? What story do you want to tell? What's standing in your way? All of that work that we do helps us to get them to the place where once we get in front of the camera, they feel comfortable and they feel like, oh, I can really let this part of me shine. I can really show people. So it's really cool that you and I have this very similar thing that we do with our clients, where we get to see them and help shepherd them through that journey. Because, oh my gosh, what a great, fulfilling thing to do, to help people to find that place that they want to be,
It is. And you do what people generally in your field don't do, which some people in my field don't do it either. They just say, okay, here's your program. But you get all of that, really, all those questions gets down to the why. My thing's always your why. I want to lose weight. Why? I want to look better. Why? You dig down. That's your tell me more, tell me more. That's your tell me more. Yeah, tell me more about your why. And then dig. I had a quick story. It's the favorite one I like to tell, because people kind of get it. Big guy, 6'4", 55 pounds. Daughter-in-law sent me over there. You got to help him. His health is horrible. His wife lets me in. He sits in his big easy chair. He doesn't get up for me. Big dude, super nice, friendliest guy, jovial. He's the grandpa guy. He's got grandkids. We started with my granddaughter here. She says I need to lose the weight. Okay, well, why do you want to do that? We just dig. And this is a big construction kind of guy too, big machismo kind of guy. We're going. Okay, 6'4", 350, the big dude. Pretty soon he's crying, because we're getting why. And it comes down to, I can't play with my grandkids. I can't ride bikes with them. I can't be on the floor with them. It's not you needed to lose weight to look better. Your health, yes, that matters, but it comes down to, what are you missing in life? Right. So your why could get all the way down. It may not be that deep, but still, tell me more. And the fact that you do that in a photo shoot was amazing. You made the comment of people like, hey, is that really me in the picture? I did that.
Right.
You sent the picture up. I'm like, huh? Really? Like, wow, how much Photoshop did she do to that picture?
All you, dude.
No, it wasn't me. It was you, because you did exactly that in our quick. Because you already know me, but then you just kind of went with, do this, feel this in the way the expressions, and I was really comfortable. I'm not all that comfortable taking pictures. Sometimes my mind still says I weigh 250 pounds. Yeah. I don't always think that way. It's a weird, see, that's why I can help you, but it's weird. You got to get that into your head. But I'm like, huh? Even my father was like, wow, the critic, that's a good picture of you. I'm like, yeah, isn't she amazing? There's all Kimberly. I just stood there. But no, that's your ability to draw that out. And I had the exact same. I was just laughing inside when you were telling that, because I was your client right there that said, oh my gosh, really? That's me? Because I've had other pictures. I'm like, ooh, do not use this picture anywhere. But
so I think this is sort of the millionth connection that you and I have. So the thing is that when I work with folks, no matter who it is, teenager, someone in their 90s, whatever, a branding person, whatever it is, I really have an affinity for my clients. I really find that, how can I put it? I have so much respect for the people that I work with because we do talk about their journeys, because we do talk about what they've been through.
Yeah.
I have so much affection for them in a really respectful way because I can see how special they are and how there's nobody else like them. And I know that you're the same way with your clients. So I love this because, I don't know what it is, but the people that find me and commission me, they're my favorite freaking people. I don't know what it is, but somehow, whatever it is that they see in my work, whatever it is that they're hoping for, we have this kind of connection that's really special. So when I look at my clients and we kind of look through all their images together, which is, this kind of the process, after we do the shoot, together we look at their collection. I usually shoot, for one person, I usually shoot about 2,000 images. It's a lot. Then I cull it down to a small group of, ideal images, but we do it together. And I think it's such a fun process because I get to see their reactions. I can help them choose what they need for their families, for their branding, whatever. But ultimately what it is I have so much affection for them. So I fall in love with their images as much as they do because I'm so excited for them that they get to have that version of themselves hanging in their homes, and that they get to admire all of their hard work just in showing up, because I'm very aware that to have your portrait taken requires you to be quite vulnerable. I mean, most of us, we're so surrounded by people looking perfect all the time, like the perfect hair and the perfect face and the perfect weight. And so hard, I think, for folks to be comfortable when there's a professional camera pointed in your direction. It can be really scary. And I'm very understanding that is the case for lots of folks who don't get paid every day to have their portrait taken. So I just love that they allow themselves to be that vulnerable, to do this kind of work together, to kind of create this result, because it takes some guts, We're all so used to being judged on our appearance. So I really want to be there for my clients the same way that you are. You really love to be there for them, knowing how self-conscious they can feel. Am I perfect yet? Well, you don't really have to be perfect. You have to be you, right? So
you're perfect for you today.
Exactly. I love that. Again, super aligned, because we don't want people to feel bad about where they are now. We want them to celebrate it. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, Kimberly, I don't know. I need to lose 25 pounds." I feel like, okay, listen, your goals are your goals and you should do whatever you feel good about doing. But I strongly believe that we don't have to be perfect to celebrate ourselves. And so I feel like all day long, no matter what stage your clients are in, you're celebrating them every day. You're celebrating the strength that they're bringing to their session that day. You're celebrating who they are when they come to one of your speeches, or your workshops. You're celebrating them. You're not waiting until they're perfect, till they're the perfect way and they look the perfect. That's how I feel. I feel like, let's celebrate you now, because first of all, I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. This is kind of one of the things I learned in COVID, just my own sensitivity to how vulnerable all of us can be, and how I don't know how long I'm going to have my family around. I'm going to document those people as long as I can, as often as I can, because I don't know anything about what tomorrow brings. So let's just celebrate who you are now and celebrate the fact that you are beautiful now.
Today.
Tomorrow,
nowhere on the calendar does it say tomorrow.
Exactly.
The word tomorrow does not. Yeah, that's what I tell my, but today. It's today. So, and then today also is part of your story. Wherever you are today,
it's part of your story. Yes.
It is what it is. So that's awesome. So, all right, we need to kind of cut it off there. They're going to cut me off in the network pretty soon. It has been every bit of the amazing conversation with you that I knew it would be. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your insight, your experiences, your stories with me and the listeners. I would love to have you on again sometime. And then I know I'm going to see you again soon. So
yes,
you have been amazing. So hopefully everybody, I always tell somebody, take something away from every one of our episodes. So If
Yes.
you've taken something away from this one, let us know. Tell us where to find you, please.
Oh, thank you for asking. So you can go to my website. It's eardog.com. So ear, E-A-R plus dog, D-O-G, the animal, eardog.com. You can take a look at the portraits section of my site. You can take a look at brain storytelling, editorial work I've done for magazines. There's a whole page about services and how we work. Instagram is eardog, E-A-R-D-O-G, photo, F-O-T-O. That's another great way to find me. LinkedIn, you can find me. Facebook. So if you go to my website, links are all there. And you can find me. Yes, I'm easy to find if you Google me with my middle initial M. That's why I use it, because there's a lot of other Kimberly Wangs in the world. So Kimberly M. Wang, Eardog Production. So.
And if they have trouble finding you, they can always ask me, because I know where to find you. For sure.
Thank you so much. I love hanging with you.
Always.
So simpatico, dude. We're so on the same page. So thank you so much for sharing your.
Thank you so much. All right. So hopefully everybody enjoyed this. Leave us a comment. Let us know how you did. Follow along, and everybody have an amazing, blessed day. And again, I hope you took something from today. Share with us what that was, and then we will see you guys on the next episode. Kimberly, love you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.